Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a scenario that honestly feels like it's pulled straight out of a geopolitical thriller. Except, well, it's actually happening right now. Imagine waking up in a Europe where energy is no longer just a climate debate or a frustrating household bill. Imagine energy itself becoming the literal battlefield, the weapon, and the ultimate leverage.
So what if Europe's energy security really became the new Cold War? In this scenario, we're not talking about tanks rolling across borders or missiles lighting up the sky. No, we're talking about gas contracts, electrical grids, and undersea cables becoming the actual front lines.
Part 1. The reality check. Real vulnerability.
Okay, let's dive into this. This isn't just some hypothetical scenario. Europe has already been forced to completely rewrite its playbook. Just look at the dramatic plunge in reliance on Russian gas. Back in 2021, it made up a massive 45% of total EU gas imports. But by 2025, that number is projected to plummet to just 12%. The continent is actively and quite painfully untangling decades of dependency.
And that shift came with a massive, historic shock. Following the 2022 invasion, Russian pipeline deliveries fell by almost 120 billion cubic meters, 120 BCM. That single, staggering drop is exactly what triggered the ongoing global energy crisis, pushing prices to the roof and forcing a total rewrite of Europe's energy strategy.
Part 2. Infrastructure as the front line.
We really have to visualize how the invisible infrastructure of our daily lives has totally transformed. The fears of the old Cold War, tanks, missiles, mushroom clouds, they've been replaced. In this new energy war, the front line is made up of LNG terminals, cyberattacks, and utility bills. It's no longer just about outlasting an enemy's military. It's literally about defending the very systems that keep society running.
Everyday infrastructure hiding in plain sight is now being hardened just like a military base. We're talking undersea cables, LNG terminals, gas storage facilities, cross-border interconnectors, and power grids. They all require constant surveillance and active cyber defense now. Why? Because modern geopolitical power isn't just measured by the size of an army anymore. It's measured solely by who can keep the lights on.
Part 3. The human and economic cost. Now, when we shift our focus from grand geopolitics down to the living room or the factory floor, the stakes become intensely personal. People who once feared military conflict now fear the winter blackout and the crippling utility bill. When the certainty of a warm winter disappears, let me tell you, the public mood sours instantly. This anxiety hits directly inside the home, making energy policy a highly combustible and politically explosive issue.
And the economic stakes? They are absolutely staggering. 1 trillion euros. According to Reuters reporting, that is the massive bet Europe is making to revive its industry through a total overhaul of its energy infrastructure and a stronger domestic renewable system. They literally have to make this bet because the continent's energy costs still totally dwarf those of the US and China. Heavy manufacturing simply cannot survive without dependable, affordable power.
Part 4. Cracks in the alliance.
While Europe might project a united front to the world, internally, it's a complex web of competing priorities. Just look at the differing strategies across the board. Germany is fiercely protecting its industry and gas storage. France, meanwhile, defends its nuclear fleet and grid stability. The Baltics and Poland are pushing for hard security and rapid decoupling from Russia. Southern Europe is panicked about heat waves and import costs, while Northern Europe focuses on protecting their offshore assets and interconnectors. These fractures show exactly how immense cost burdens are testing the alliance right from the inside out.
And this internal friction is a perfect breeding ground for social anxiety. As costs soar, some governments can afford to subsidize households, but others just can't. Populist movements seize on this to attack incumbents, and nationalist messaging frames dependency as a critical weakness. Suddenly, highly technical energy policy becomes the emotional, deeply dividing center of domestic politics.
Part 5. The tactics of energy warfare.
In this scenario, the weapon isn't a missile, it's dependency. This is the shadow game. Imagine cyber units probing distribution networks, or intelligence agencies quietly monitoring grid vulnerabilities. Think about the sabotage of critical shipping lanes. A political dispute can easily escalate into a winter crisis without a single shot ever being fired. And consider disinformation. Simply spreading false rumors about outages can trigger panic buying, essentially attacking the psychology of the grid before a single wire is ever touched.
Part 6. Building the electro-continent.
To combat this shadow war, Europe is racing to build what's being called the electro-continent. This is a massive continent-wide investment to rebuild the energy architecture from the ground up.
The ultimate goal isn't just clean power, it's secure clean power. It's about creating massive redundancies, more storage, tighter interconnected grids, more domestic renewables, so that no single shock, extreme weather event, pipeline cut, or cyber attack can bring the continent to its knees.
And this transformation is happening on a brutally tight timeline. We started with that 45% reliance in 2021 and the massive 120 BCM shock in 2022. But look ahead. The RE power plan aims to ban Russian LNG entirely by 2026. By 2028, major pivots, like the Cyprus and any LNG exports, go live. Combine this with diplomatic scrambles, like Germany's Uniper securing a 20-year deal with Canada, and you are literally watching a continent aggressively redraw its geopolitical map away from old dependencies.
So the crucial point is this immense political dilemma, captured perfectly by this thought. Every government would live in two timelines at once, the urgent present and the strategic future. Leaders are trapped trying to calm public fury over today's heat waves and price spikes, all while waiting years for these massive infrastructure projects to actually get built. Quick fixes are incredibly tempting in a democracy, but they are exactly what complex energy systems punish. Which brings us to the ultimate question of this explainer. If this scenario truly is our reality, the biggest battles of the future won't begin with armies at a border. They'll begin with the very systems that keep civilization warm, moving, and alive. So, as energy becomes the main battlefield of Europe, who wins? Is it the side with the most resources, the side with the best technology, or the side that can endure the longest?